welcome to Let's Get Growing. It's Jo here, and we are at the tail end of July, and it has cooled down a little bit, thankfully. It was very hot last week, but it's a bit cooler this week, but we're still very dry, and we haven't had very much rain, but hey ho, we keep our fingers crossed. So we're going to start with your packs from this week. So one plant that does like hot weather is thyme. And I know we did have some baby thyme plants, but mine didn't come to anything, so I thought it'd be nice for you to have a thyme plant. And it's a kind of Mediterranean herb, so it likes hot weather. So as ever, the first thing we're going to do with any pot plant is have a look at its root system. And it's totally filled its pot. It's not pot bound, but I will be potting it on into the next size up pot. So, ooh, it smells gorgeous. Gonna put a bit of compost, and then I am gonna just gently tease it out. Put my plant in the middle, the compost around it. Just below top level, press it down. I'll label back in, and then I'll give it a water, but also what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop the tops off, and the reason why I'm doing that is because most herbs respond really well when you cut off the top growth and they'll bush out, and we'll get a like more bushy growth going on here. Encourage it to grow outwards rather than to grow long and tall and leggy. And so thyme likes it sunny, it doesn't like shading, so you have to be careful where you put it. But other than that, it's quite robust. It's a hardy perennial, so it'll come back year after year if you look after it. So the next thing you should have in your pack is a little pot of Sweet Williams. So these are seedlings that we grew from some seeds we collected from our own plants. So these are Sweet Williams are biannuals on the whole, so it takes 2 years before they flower. So that would be this year, and then these would be flowering in the summer of next year, 23. So what I'm going to do with these is, you could prick them out individually into modules, but I'm going to show you a different way to do it. So I'm going to use a mushroom punnet or fruit punnet with holes in the bottom, and I'm going to 3/4 fill it, and then again it's the same principles when we come to pricking out. We're going to plant them in here individually, but better spaced out so they've got enough room to grow before we pot them on any further. So it is a bit fiddly, but you should have done it a few times by now. So as ever, we handle the seedling with its leaves. That's its root system. Digged a hole, drop my seedling back in and press firmly around it, and then repeat it, leaving some space between the plants so they've got room to grow. When they've grown on a little bit more, I would choose the best ones and put them into small pots. Okay, so that's my tray of Sweet Williams. So hopefully next year they'll have these beautiful colourful flowers on them, and they smell really perfumed and really nice. And they're also, as you can see, RHS plants for pollinators, so it means they're a good wildlife plant. They're good for bees, attracts wildlife. So then I would just be watering these with a rose, so just a gentle water, and then I will be keeping them in the shade out of the sun for a couple of days, just until they pick up, and then they'll be fine back out in the sun again. And then we have also got lots of seeds. Now I thought the idea with these is that we're going to do some more lettuce. Most of the lettuce has gone to seed, and the problem is in like July and August is that lettuce doesn't like it really hot, and it won't germinate if the weather's really hot. So I'd sow these seeds while we've got like cooler weather. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to sow them in the tray, and I'm going to just keep them in the tray and cut them as baby lettuce. But I'm going to keep them in a shady spot, so you could keep them on a sort of cool windowsill, or in a little shady spot in your garden. So I'm just going to scatter these, so broadcast them. I'm not going to bother doing them in rows or anything like that, and I'm going to put quite a few in here. Might have enough seeds to do successional sowing, which means when this one's grown for a couple of weeks you might want to do another tray, so you'll have some more baby lettuce a few days later. Okay, so then I'm going to cover them up with a little bit of compost, and then I'm going to use another tray, press them down, gentle water with a watering can with a rose, a label. And then final thing you should have is some wild rocket seeds. So this is like the proper rocket. I think Italians eat. It's much tastier than some of the ones we have here. So again, rocket doesn't like hot weather, and it doesn't like being transplanted, so we're going to treat it the same as the lettuce. So the aim is here is to grow some baby lettuce that I can cut. So these seeds are incredibly tiny, so you might look like you've got hardly anything in here, but they're just really small seeds. Try and get them out without spilling them everywhere. So I've got quite a few seeds there. I'm just going to use my finger and my thumb to try and scatter them evenly to the top of the compost. And because the seeds are so tiny, we're just going to cover it up with a very small amount of compost. And again, press it down and water it with a fine rose. So I will be putting these three in the shade, but this one I'll be putting in a nice sunny spot. So we're going to move on and just look at some of the plants from previous packs. So the dahlia's really going for it. Looks really nice. And the chard. Tomatoes are starting to ripen. In fact, I think I'm going to harvest these three and keep feeding these. So I keep them watered and I keep feeding them. So I've got 3 little toms there. Obviously not as good as the ones that are growing in the ground, but these were grown in pots. So I've also got a couple of cayenne peppers on my plant, but I'm going to leave them to go red because I like them when they're nice and chilly, nice and spicy. These are the spring onions. We're doing okay. And then I think the carrots, we're going to harvest these today. If I can, it might be like, whoa, look at that. That's quite impressive. A carrot grown in a pot. I'm impressed. Some of these smaller ones I'm going to leave, but this one looks like it's reached a decent size too. Let's have a look. Yeah. Look at that. That's going to taste so much better than a shop bought carrot. Be nice just raw, grated, all that. Right, let's go outside and have a look at some other plants. So I think the allium spirocephalon, they've about finished now, but they have been very beautiful and attracted lots of wildlife. Now my gladioli is flowering, but it did get a bit hit by the very hot weather maybe it will revive. The courgette's doing quite good. But I noticed here, sometimes the first attempts at forming courgettes, they're sort of they don't form properly. So the best thing is just to cut them off and get rid of them. And then hopefully the next ones, there's one there, there's there, will grow nice. They'll grow much better. So the thing today that I wanted to do also was have a look, harvest the potatoes quite excitingly. So I don't know what's in here, I have no idea what to expect. We will see. Oh, we've got one. There's a few in here I can see. So some of these ones nearer the top, they've gone green, and that's because of contact with sunlight, so you can't really eat them because they're poisonous. So we will put them to one side. This should have been a bit deeper in the pot. Got a few. That one's a bit malformed. That's probably to do with water in that, or very hot weather, lack of water. And then this compost, it was all like from the compost heap, so I will reuse this on some, put it on some of the raised beds because there still might be some goodness, but not where I'm going to grow potatoes. Might put it on the flower beds. So I got a handful, not amazing, but considering they haven't been watered very much, it's better than nothing. The other thing I'm really pleased with is my pot of snapdragons, antirrhinums, which I just threw into a pot, and they look lovely, and I thought I'd put way too many in, but look how nice, how pretty they look. So some things have gone to seed a bit prematurely with the hot weather. So things like the calendulas I would be expecting to sort of flower for a lot longer than they have, and they've formed seed heads, so it's probably too late to deadhead them now. But what I would be doing is collecting the seeds for next year. So you could take all of these off and then put them in an envelope and label them, and then next year you've got your own calendula seeds. And I think that's probably the case with the coriander, which it does tend to run to seed in hot weather, so I'll leave that to save the seeds from. And the hollyhock. The hollyhock was fantastic, but it has got, I've already sown some of these. It has formed seeds and they're ready to sow. So I think that that's about it. You see the plants that do like the warm weather, look at the rosemary, it looks really healthy hidden amongst there. The Mediterranean herbs and the dahlias. So I think I'm quite pleased with how most things are going, and I'd love to know how your crops are going, if you're harvesting anything. If you could put some pictures on Facebook, that would be really, really good. Or if you've got any problems with anything, get in touch with us. Okay, happy growing, and I'll see you in August. Bye.